In 1828, near where the Missouri and Yellowstone rivers joined, John Jacob Astor's American Fur Company built its Fort Union trading post to engage in the fur business with Indian tribes of the northern plains: Assiniboine, Plains Cree, Blackfeet, Plains Chippewa, Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara. The post traded manufactured goods for buffalo hides, beaver pelts, bear skins, and other furs. On average, the post received 25,000 buffalo hides each year. It quickly became the Upper Missouri's most profitable fur trade post. The reconstructed fort is located southwest of Williston in North Dakota. The National Historic Site is reached via Highways 2 and 1804. The fort is situated on the Missouri River. Steamboats could dock right in front of the fort. Technically, the historic site is in 2 states. The fort itself is in North Dakota, but the parking lot is in Montana. The front of the fort faces south, more or less looking out on the Missouri River. It is surrounded by 18-foot-tall palisade walls. The fort is 240 feet wide east to west and 220 feet long north to south. There are bastions at the northeast and southwest corners. The large building is the Bourgeois House, which was the home of the manager or field agent and the chief clerk. It was built in 1851 by enlarging a smaller building. Today it serves as a visitor center. This, of course, is a reconstruction. In this view, you can also easily see the trade house and the blacksmith shop. The east side of the trade house was used for receptions and trading. The west side contained offices and meeting rooms. An open-air strong room was constructed by having both an outer gate and an inner gate. Trading with Indians could be done without allowing the Indians entrance to the fort itself. This is the view of the fort from Highway 1804. You park in Montana and walk into North Dakota to get to the fort. The bastions were sturdy structures. Portholes allowed cannons and small arms to cover the outside walls, but records indicate the bastions may never have been needed for defense. The painting above the entrance is based on an illustration by an employee of the post in the 1830s and 1840s. It depicts Indians and traders meeting in a friendly exchange. A view looking out through the inner gate. You can see the trade window. Indians and post employees could trade at this window while leaving the inner gate closed. The trade house again. A reenactor served as guide in the building. He was having lunch when I took this photo. The smaller room displayed trade items. Note the trade window in the wall. The blacksmith shop. The historic site used beams to show the outline of buildings it didn't want to fully reconstruct. This is a view of the Missouri River from the walkway on the palisade wall near the southwest bastion. This bastion had a cannon pointed to cover the front entrance. You can see the buffalo robe press. Up to 10 robes could be pressed into bundles weighing about 100 pounds. These bundles could be packed efficiently on steamboats for transportation down the Missouri. Looking into Montana. A view of the interior of the fort. The blacksmith shop is just below the walkway. The beams outline 6 rooms joined by 3 back-to-back fireplaces. These rooms were used by employees and their families. The ice house at the end had a cellar that could store ice blocks cut from the frozen Missouri River until August. The Bourgeois House was a magnificent structure. It must have been enormously impressive to the tribes in the area. The fort was visited by artists, explorers, and scientists like the artist George Catlin the German Prince Maximilian, the Swiss artists Karl Bodmer, and John James Audubon. These visitors documented the region's native people, the wildlife, and the landscape. They also made detailed sketches of this building, so the rendering is quite accurate. Unfortunately, no sketches were made of the interior of the building, but we do know the bourgeois, clerks, traders, and skilled laborers ate in a central dining room. Storage rooms were built under the walkways of the palisades. Here is a view while standing in the northeast corner of the inside of the fort. Again, beams are used to indicate the location of various rooms and the powder magazine. The bell tower was used to announce daily activities like opening and closing the gates and calling for meals. Meals were cooked in an outdoor kitchen behind the bourgeois house. This is a model of a steamboat that visited the fort. Steamboats could ascend the Missouri River all the way to Fort Benton in north-central Montana, about 375 miles to the west of Fort Union. A view of the fort from outside the northeast bastion. In 1866, the U.S. Army built Fort Buford 3 miles to the east of Fort Union. And in 1867, the Army purchased Fort Union from the Northwest Fur Company, which owned it at the time. Stone and lumber were salvaged from Fort Union to aid in the construction of Fort Buford. Passing riverboats scavenged any remaining wood to feed the boilers of their boats. Soon there was little visible trace of the famous trading post. But in 1966, the National Park Service bought the site. Archaeological excavations started 2 years later. A fort was reconstructed on the site of the original fort to look like it did in 1851, the height of the Indian and fur trades. Visit this historic site and step back into the early 19th century fur trade. And visit my website for information on all my novels, as well as links to information about the Old West, the American Civil War, fiction writing, nautical tales in the sea, and other topics. Hope you enjoyed this video.